Numbers and stats play a crucial role in today's NHL, with many fans often being captivated by winning streaks, scoring streaks, and sometimes a streak we never saw coming. However, not all streaks hold the same weight. Some are defined by extraordinary individual performances. In other cases, it's a team's collective effort that fuels a remarkable run. Regardless of the type, these streaks become defining moments in hockey history, showcasing the highs and lows of the game. In today's video, we're breaking down 10 of the craziest streaks the NHL has ever seen. You'll see a few familiar faces on this list, and maybe for a few fan bases, some streaks they may want to forget about. Make sure to stick around until the end of the video and let us know in the comments which streak is the most impressive, or in some cases, least impressive. Let's dive in. No discussion of streaks or hockey greatness would be complete without mentioning Bobby Orr. The revolutionary defenseman claimed the Calder Trophy in his rookie season before dominating the league with 8 consecutive Norris Trophies from 1967-68 to 1974-75. He played 3 more seasons after that streak. However, injuries limited him to just 36 total games between 1975-76 and 1978-79. Orr's impact on the game is difficult to overstate. As a defenseman, he led the NHL in scoring twice, something no other blue liner has ever accomplished. He also won 3 Hart trophies as league MVP, the most by a defenseman in NHL history, and guided the Bruins to 2 Stanley Cup titles. The 1969-70 championship was immortalized by Orr's iconic airborne goal. His 8 straight Norris wins remain unmatched. Doug Harvey's streak of 4 and the 3-year runs by Nicklas Lidstrom and Pierre Pilote pale in comparison. Orr's brilliance redefined the role of defenseman, blending offensive creativity with defensive mastery. Though knee injuries cut his career to just 657 games, Orr's legacy endures as one of the most dominant streaks and careers in NHL history. One can only imagine the records he might have shattered had injuries not taken their toll. Wayne Gretzky's career remains untouched as he rewrote the NHL record books at every turn. Among his countless feats, his remarkable 51-game point streak during the 1983-84 season stands out as a defining achievement. It began with a goal and an assist in a 5-4 win over the Toronto Maple Leafs in the season opener and continued for nearly 4 months.
Great One went on a 4-month scoring tear.
During the streak, Gretzky tallied an astonishing 153 points, including 61 goals and 92 assists, which was enough to rank as the 15th highest scoring season in NHL history on its own. He ended that season with 205 points, going pointless in only 3 of his 74 games. Gretzky's dominance extended beyond this streak as he claimed the Hart Trophy for 8 consecutive seasons from 1979-80 to 1986-87. Mario Lemieux came closest to matching Gretzky's brilliance with a 46-game streak in 1989-90, but Gretzky still holds the 3rd and 4th longest streaks at 39 and 30 games. In today's lower-scoring NHL, the 51-game streak remains untouchable. North American sports have seen some incredible dynasties, but few realize that the Boston Bruins hold the record for the longest playoff appearance streak in professional North American sports. From 1967-68 to 1995-96, the Bruins qualified for the postseason an astonishing 29 consecutive seasons. The streak began with legends like Bobby Orr, Phil Esposito, and ended with stars such as Ray Bourque, Adam Oates, and Cam Neely. During this time, the Bruins captured 2 Stanley Cups in 1969-70 and 1971-72, with Orr earning the Conn Smythe Trophy both times. They also reached the Stanley Cup final 5 other times, but fell short in 1973-74, 1976-77, 1977-78, 1987-88, and 1989-90. The Detroit Red Wings came close to matching this feat with a 25-season playoff streak from 19 1989-90 to 2015-16. With the amount of parity in the NHL today, the Bruins' remarkable record appears nearly unbreakable, standing as a testament to their consistency and success. Apologies to any Maple Leafs fans watching this. You've likely heard enough about 1966-67 to last a lifetime. That season marks the Leafs' last Stanley Cup victory, a drought that now spans 56 seasons. While the New York Rangers once held the record for the longest cup drought at 54 seasons from 1939-40 to 1993-94, they've reached the finals 3 times during that stretch. The Leafs, however, haven't returned to the finals since their victory on May 2nd, 1967. There have been close calls, such as their heartbreaking conference final loss to the Los Angeles Kings in 1992-93. Today, the Leafs boast one of the NHL's most talented rosters, but until they hoist the Stanley Cup and parade it down Bay Street, the shadow of this historic drought will loom large over the franchise. For now, the Leafs streak remains one of the NHL's most infamous records. The Montreal Canadiens stand as the NHL's most decorated franchise, with an unmatched 23 Stanley Cup championships. Their legacy is built on an incredible roster of legendary players and multiple dynastic eras. From 1975-76 to 1978-79, the Canadiens captured 4 straight cups, led by stars like Guy Lafleur, Ken Dryden, and Larry Robinson. While impressive, their dominance in the 1950s remains unparalleled. From 1955-56 to 1959-60, the Canadiens won 5 consecutive Stanley Cups, a feat no other team has matched. With icons such as Jean Beliveau, Maurice and Henri Richard, Dickie Moore, Doug Harvey, Bernie Joffrion, and Jacques Plante, their dominance was almost inevitable. During this era, they also reached the Stanley Cup Finals in 10 consecutive seasons, setting another record. Though only 2 playoff series were needed to win the Cup in the original 6 era, this doesn't diminish their achievements. In today's NHL, such a streak is virtually impossible to replicate, cementing the Canadiens dynasty as one of hockey's greatest. The Ottawa Senators' inaugural 1992-93 season set a new standard for futility in the NHL. Surprisingly, the Sens began their campaign with a win against the eventual Stanley Cup champion Montreal Canadiens. However, they managed only 9 more wins in their next 83 games, finishing with a dismal 10-70-4 record. However, the team's performance on the road was historically abysmal. Between October 10, 1992 and April 3, 1993, they lost 38 straight road games, finally breaking the streak in their 4th last game of the season. They finished with a 141-0 road record, the worst in NHL history, and a staggering -129 goal differential. While modern expansion teams benefit from favorable rules, making such futility unlikely, this road streak remains a notorious chapter in hockey history. Thankfully, Ottawa rebounded in later years, building a competitive playoff team by the 2000s. On the flip side, the Pittsburgh Penguins' 1992-93 season featured one of the most impressive streaks in NHL history. Coming off back-to-back Stanley Cup victories, the Penguins boasted a roster stacked with stars like Mario Lemieux, Jaromir Jagr, Ron Francis, Paul Coffey, and Kevin Stevens. However, Lemieux's battle with Hodgkin's disease midway through the season forced him to miss 24 games, and while the team held steady, they weren't the same without him. On March 2nd, Lemieux made his return, and just a week later, the Penguins began a remarkable 17-game winning streak that would carry them through the rest of the season. The streak propelled them to a league-best 56-21-7 record, surpassing the Montreal Canadiens. Lemieux was incredible during the run, contributing 51 points in those 17 games and finishing the season with 160 points in just 60 games, winning his 4th scoring title despite the time lost to cancer. Though they were stunned by the New York Islanders in the playoffs in one of the biggest upsets in NHL history, the Penguins' 17-game win streak remains a monumental achievement and streak that will be very difficult to beat. The Philadelphia Flyers were a force to be reckoned with in the 1970s, earning their Broad Street Bullies nickname with a mix of grit and skill that delivered back-to-back Stanley Cups in 1973-74 and 1974-75. By the 1979-80 season, they remained a powerhouse, but their legendary goalie Bernie Parent had retired following a career-ending eye injury. With stars like Bobby Clarke, Reggie Leach, and Bill Barber still leading the team, the Flyers placed their trust in 22-year-old goaltender Pete Peters, who had only 5 NHL games under his belt. Defying expectations, the Flyers went on an incredible 35-game unbeaten streak, 25-0-10, from October 13, 1979 to January 7, 1980, setting the longest unbeaten run in North American sports history. Peters was stellar, going 14-0-4 during the streak and not losing until February 19th. The Flyers finished the season with the NHL's best record and advanced to the Stanley Cup final. However, their dominance ended against the New York Islanders, who began their own dynasty by winning 4 straight cups. Still, the Flyers streak remains one of hockey's most remarkable feats. The 1980-81 Winnipeg Jets endured one of the most dismal stretches in NHL history. Unlike a typical expansion team, this was their second NHL season after a successful run in the WHA. However, success didn't translate to the NHL, and their sophomore campaign was a disaster. The Jets opened with a respectable 1-2-0 record, highlighted by a 6-2 win over Chicago. Unfortunately, that would be their last victory for over 2 months. Over their next 30 games, they went 0-23-7, a record of futility unmatched in league history. The chaos behind the bench didn't help, as the team cycled through 4 head coaches that season. Defensive woes plagued them, with all 5 goalies posting goals against averages above 4.50. Lindsay Middlebrook went winless in 14 starts, while Ron Lustel allowed 10 goals in his lone appearance. The Jets finished 9-57-14, earning 25 fewer points than the next worst team. The silver lining came in the 1981 draft when they selected future Hall of Famer Dale Hawerchuk first overall, offering hope for better days ahead. Glenn Hall's streak is one of the most remarkable feats in NHL history. Between 1955-56 and 1962-63, Mr. Goalie started and finished 502 straight regular season games, as well as 49 playoff games, for a total of 551 games straight. Even more impressive, he accomplished this without wearing a mask. Hall began his career with the Detroit Red Wings, overtaking Hall of Famer Terry Sawchuk as the starting goalie. He won the Calder Trophy in 1955-56 and was named to the NHL's second All-Star team. The following season, he led the league with 38 wins and posted a .928 save percentage. After joining the Chicago Blackhawks in 1957-58, Hall backstopped the team to a Stanley Cup in 1960-61 with a stellar .927 save percentage and 2.02 goals against average in the playoffs. His streak ended early in the 1962-63 season when a back injury forced him to relinquish the crease. Hall later became the first player drafted by the St. Louis Blues in 1967, leading them to the Stanley Cup final in their inaugural season and earning the Conn Smythe Trophy despite the team's loss. Hall's legacy extends far beyond his Ironman streak. Known as the pioneer of the butterfly goaltending style, he was named to the NHL first All-Star team a record 7 times for a goalie, with 4 second-team selections. Hall also won 3 Vezina trophies and was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 1975-76. Hall's career exemplifies resilience, innovation, and excellence. And there you have it, 10 of the craziest streaks in NHL history. So, what would you say the craziest streak in NHL history is? Let us know in the comments. And as always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell for more videos.